The only rule. Aliens must never break. Earth is not yours to take. Part 1. First contact, strange lights flashed on the radar screens at the Global Space Monitoring Center. The technicians stared in confusion as the unknown object moved at impossible speeds. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built and was heading directly toward Earth. "Sir, you need to see this," said Peter Ellis, his voice shaking slightly as he called Commander Ethan Wright. Commander Wright rushed to the control room, his face showing concern but remaining calm. As Director of Strategic Defense Operations, he had trained for unusual events but nothing like this. "How long until it reaches Earth's orbit?" he asked, studying the massive object on the screens. 6 days at current speed," Peter replied. Within hours, the news spread across the world. People panicked, stocked up on supplies, and many fled to rural areas. World leaders called emergency meetings and military forces went on high alert. Dr. Olivia Patterson sat in her office at NASA, surrounded by computer screens displaying strange signal patterns. As the lead xenolinguist, she had spent years studying possible alien languages. Now she had actual signals to decode. "There's a pattern here," she muttered to herself, typing quickly. "It's not random. They're trying to communicate." On the third day, Dr. Patterson made a breakthrough. "Commander Wright," she said over the video call, "they're requesting permission to enter our orbit. They're calling themselves the Halaxians." Commander Wright shared this information with Admiral Frank Morgan, who had been appointed head of the hastily formed United Earth Defense Coalition. "Can we trust them?" Admiral Morgan asked, his weathered face showing deep concern. "We don't have much choice," Commander Wright replied. "Their technology is far beyond ours. If they wanted to attack, they wouldn't ask permission." The world watched as the massive ship entered Earth's orbit. It was shaped like a giant silver leaf, reflecting sunlight in beautiful patterns. Smaller, craft emerged from the main ship, but stayed in orbit as requested by Earth's leaders. Finally, a single shuttle descended, landing on the neutral meeting ground prepared in Switzerland. World leaders gathered, along with Commander Wright, Dr. Patterson, and Admiral Morgan. The shuttle door opened and the first aliens humans had ever seen emerged. They were tall, with bluish silver skin that seemed to shimmer. Their eyes were large and entirely black, set in narrow faces with small mouths. They moved with grace despite Earth's gravity. The lead alien stepped forward. "I am Zornak, ambassador of the Halaxian people and representative of the Galactic Coalition. We come in peace and friendship." Dr. Patterson operated the translation device she had created based on the alien signals. She noticed small inconsistencies in the translation but kept quiet for now. "We welcome you to Earth," said the United Nations Secretary General. "This is a historic moment for humanity." The meeting continued for hours. The Halaxians explained they were part of a peaceful alliance of 27 species from different star systems. They wished to establish a diplomatic outpost on Mars and begin cultural exchange with Earth. "We have much to share," Ambassador Zornak said. "Technology, medicine, knowledge of the universe." That evening, Commander Wright found Dr. Patterson, working late in the temporary office set up for her. "Something isn't right," she said without looking up from her screens. "The language patterns show subtle deceptions. They're not telling us everything." Commander Wright nodded. "I've noticed unusual movements from their smaller ships. They're mapping our planet more thoroughly than necessary for diplomatic purposes." "Should we alert Admiral Morgan?" Dr. Patterson asked. "Not yet. We need more evidence. For now, we watch and learn." Over the next few days, negotiations continued. The Halaxians agreed to strict boundaries. They would establish their base on Mars, and any visits to Earth would require permission. No technology would be shared until Earth's nations developed a united approach to prevent global power imbalances. Commander Wright received a private message from one of his satellite monitoring teams. "Sir, we've detected unregistered small objects entering Earth's atmosphere at multiple points. They're too small to be ships, possibly probes." That night, he met secretly with Dr. Patterson and Admiral Morgan in a secure underground facility. "They're surveying us," Commander Wright explained, showing the data. These probes are focusing on areas rich in rare minerals and metals. Admiral Morgan's expression darkened. What are they really after? Dr. Patterson shared her analysis. I've been studying their responses carefully. They show unusual interest in our biological diversity and human genetic makeup. When discussing Earth's resources, their language becomes more precise, more focused. So they want our resources, Admiral Morgan concluded, and possibly us. Dr. Patterson added quietly. From what I can gather, humans might be unique in our adaptive capabilities. We evolved on a planet with highly diverse environments, which shaped our development. Commander Wright paced the room. We need to proceed carefully. We can't reject them outright. Their technology is too advanced. But we can't trust them completely either. We build our defenses quietly, Admiral Morgan suggested. Accept their diplomatic presence while preparing for any betrayal. The next day, during the formal signing of the Earth-Halaxian Initial Contact Treaty, Ambassador Zornak approached Commander Wright. Your species is most unusual, Commander, the alien said. Most worlds we encounter have developed along more predictable paths. How so? Commander Wright asked, keeping his face neutral. Your adaptive capabilities are remarkable. Most species specialize to survive in their environments. Humans instead adapted to change any environment to suit them. Fascinating approach. Commander, Wright caught Dr. Patterson's eye across the room. She had heard the exchange and gave him a subtle nod. As the ceremony concluded, Earth officially welcomed the first alien species into the solar system. News reports celebrated the historic moment. People around the world expressed hope for a new era of progress and knowledge. But in secure facilities across the globe, Earth's defenders began preparing. New satellite systems were designed. Military forces trained with updated protocols. Scientists studied the limited alien technology they had been permitted to see. We welcome our new friends, Admiral Morgan said in a private meeting with Earth's military leaders. But we trust our instincts. Earth is our home, and if necessary, we will defend it. In orbit above Mars, Zornak sent an encrypted message to the Halaxian homeworld. Initial contact successful. Planet exceeds resource projections. Indigenous species shows unusual potential. Recommend proceeding to Phase 2. The message that returned was simple. Approved. Remember protocol. No alarm until containment is assured. On Earth, Commander Wright watched the night sky, wondering what the coming months would bring. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe. Whether those steps would lead to advancement or conflict remained to be seen. The only rule aliens must never break. Earth is not yours to take. Part 2. Whispers of betrayal. 6 months passed since the Halaxians arrived. Their base on Mars grew quickly, and regular diplomatic meetings took place. On the surface, relations seemed peaceful. Under that calm surface, suspicions grew. Agent Susan Carter wiped sweat from her forehead as she hiked through the dense forest. As an intelligence operative, she had been tracking unusual signals in this remote area for 3 days. I've found something, she said into her secure communicator. Sending images now. Hidden under thick vegetation, a small metal device pulsed with faint blue light. It wasn't human technology. Hundreds of miles away, Dr. Ryan Hayes carefully examined soil samples in his laboratory. The geologist specialized in rare earth elements, materials essential for advanced technology. That's impossible, he muttered, adjusting his microscope. The soil from near a major mining operation contained tiny machines too small to see with the naked eye. They were collecting data on mineral compositions. Both agents reported their findings to General William Porter, who had been working closely with Commander Wright. The general's office walls were covered with maps showing locations of unusual activities. They're mapping our resources, General Porter said during the emergency meeting with Earth's defense leaders. These devices have been found near every major mineral deposit on the planet. Admiral Morgan nodded grimly. And what about the atmospheric disturbances? At least 7 nations have reported them, Commander Wright replied. Each disturbance happens directly above areas rich in water or fertile land. Dr. Patterson entered the room, carrying a tablet computer. I've decoded more of their private communications. They're fascinated by humans, specifically our genetic diversity. Why would they care about that? Agent Carter asked. Because it's rare, Dr. Patterson explained. From what I can piece together, most species in the Galactic Coalition evolved to fit specific environments. Humans are different. We adapt to almost any environment on our planet. And that makes us valuable somehow? General Porter asked. Dr. Patterson nodded. They refer to Earth as a genetic treasure trove. One message described us as the most adaptable species encountered in 50,000 cycles. The room fell silent as they considered this information. We need to know more, Admiral Morgan finally said. We need someone on the inside. 2 days later, Dr. Patterson attended a scientific exchange meeting with several Halaxian representatives, including their science officer, Vex's Tra. Your planet has remarkable biodiversity, Vex's Tra commented as they toured a botanical garden. Our world became more uniform over evolutionary time. Dr. Patterson smiled politely. Diversity helps us survive. Different plants and animals thrive in different conditions. Like humans, Vexatra said. You live in deserts, jungles, Arctic regions, mountains, all with minimal biological modification. Most species we encounter require extensive technology to survive outside their native environments. Is that why you're studying us so carefully? Dr. Patterson asked casually. Vexatra's large black eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of surprise Dr. Patterson had learned to recognize. Standard scientific curiosity, the alien replied quickly. Nothing more. Later that day, a small Halaxian ship entered Earth's atmosphere without permission. When questioned, they claimed a navigational error. It was the third such error that month. General Porter stood before the United Nations Security Council, his face grave. These are not errors, he stated firmly. They are testing our response times and defense capabilities. What do you suggest? Asked the Secretary General. Implementation of Homestead Shield, the General replied. The Secretary looked concerned. That's a massive undertaking. And absolutely necessary, General Porter insisted. We've been developing it secretly since first contact. Across the globe, nations began discreetly preparing. Military units trained with new protocols. Scientists worked on countermeasures against alien technology. Satellite systems were quietly upgraded. Dr. Hayes joined a team examining the microscopic probes found in soil samples. They're not just collecting data, he explained to Commander Wright. They're analyzing extraction potential. These devices are specifically designed to identify the most efficient ways to remove minerals from our planet. In orbit around Mars, Ambassador Zornak met with Vextra aboard the main Halaxian vessel. The humans are becoming suspicious, Vextra reported. They ask more pointed questions, they watch our movements closely. Increase surveillance subtlety, the ambassador ordered, and accelerate our timeline. The Coalition Council is eager for results. What about the agreement? The humans were clear about their sovereignty. Ambassador Zornak made a dismissive gesture. Agreements change when circumstances require. They'll understand the benefits of coalition membership eventually. Unknown to the Halaxians, a small listening device planted by Agent Carter captured their conversation. The recording was rushed to Earth's defense headquarters. They're planning something bigger, Agent Carter reported. We need to be ready. General Porter accelerated the Homestead Shield program. Hidden facilities around the world began producing advanced weapons based on reverse-engineered alien technology. Defensive systems were installed beneath the ocean surface and in remote mountain ranges. 1 month later, a fleet of smaller Halaxian vessels entered the solar system. When questioned, Ambassador Zornak explained they were routine supply ships and research vessels. Our scientists are eager to study your unusual star system, the ambassador said during a diplomatic meeting. Dr. Patterson noticed the subtle changes in the ambassador's language patterns. He's lying, she whispered to Commander Wright. Their ships aren't positioned for solar research. That night, Admiral Morgan called an emergency session of the United Earth Defense Council. They're positioning for something, he said, showing the tracking data of Halaxian ship movements. Notice how they're creating a network that could quickly surround Earth. Are we ready? Asked the President of the United States. General Porter nodded firmly. Homestead Shield is at 70% deployment. Key defense systems are operational. And our offensive capabilities? Asked the Chinese military representative. Limited but growing, Commander Wright replied. We've made significant progress with the reverse-engineered technology. Meanwhile, Dr. Hayes made a disturbing discovery. The microscopic probes had evolved, becoming more complex and gathering more detailed data. They're not just studying our planet, he told his colleagues. They're preparing to harvest it. On Mars, the Halaxian base expanded rapidly. New facilities appeared daily, many with clear military purposes despite being labeled as research centers or cultural exchange hubs. Ambassador Zornak sent a message to the Coalition Council. Indigenous resistance potential higher than estimated. Recommend accelerated timeline and increased resources. The reply came swiftly. Request approved. Specialist extraction teams dispatched. Estimated arrival, 30 Earth days. As Earth's leaders prepared their people and their defenses, the true nature of the alien visit became increasingly clear. This was not about friendship or exchange. It was about taking what they wanted. They think we're primitive, General Porter said during a strategy meeting, that we'll be overwhelmed by their technology and surrender. Commander Wright smiled grimly. Then they've made their first major mistake. They don't understand humans at all. The countdown to confrontation had begun. The only rule: aliens must never break. Earth is not yours to take. Part 3. Hidden Agendas. Revealed 1 year had passed since the Halaxians first appeared in Earth's sky. The relationship between humans and aliens had grown tense. What started as friendly diplomatic exchanges had turned into careful, guarded meetings. Captain Lisa Ward stood on the bridge of the Defender, Earth's first advanced defense vessel. Built in secret using reverse-engineered alien technology, the ship was humanity's new guardian. Status report, she ordered, her eyes fixed on the display showing Halaxian movements around Mars. All systems functioning at full capacity, Captain, her first officer responded. We remain undetected in our position behind the moon. Captain Ward nodded. The Defender wasn't as large or powerful as Halaxian warships, but it carried Earth's hopes for defense. Meanwhile, Professor Alan Grant worked in his underground laboratory, surrounded by pieces of alien technology. As a specialist in reverse engineering, he had made remarkable progress understanding Halaxian systems. They've been lying to us from the beginning, he told Director Samantha Moore, who had just entered his lab. As United Nations Secretary of Extraterrestrial Affairs, she needed to know everything. What have you found? Director Moore asked, looking at the disassembled devices. Professor Grant pointed to a small silver cylinder. This is from one of their peaceful research drones that crashed in the Pacific. It's a weapon system, Director. One they claimed they didn't bring to our solar system. Director Moore's face showed no surprise, only grim confirmation. I've received disturbing information from an unexpected source, she said quietly. A member of the Galactic Coalition Council contacted me secretly. Professor Grant looked up sharply. A defector? Not exactly. His name is Krell Moore. He claims some coalition members are uncomfortable with the plans for Earth. Across the world, evidence mounted that the Halaxians were not the peaceful visitors they claimed to be. Their ships violated Earth's airspace with increasing frequency. Strange signals came from places where no Halaxian was supposed to be. Captain Ward's crew detected something particularly alarming. Captain, we've identified a landing party in the Ural Mountains, her sensor officer reported. They're establishing some kind of underground facility. Show me, Captain Ward ordered. The screen displayed thermal images of Halaxian workers building a structure beneath the mountains. No permission had been granted for any Halaxian presence on Earth outside of designated diplomatic areas, Alert Command. We're moving to intercept, Captain Ward ordered. The Defender broke its hiding position and moved silently toward Earth. Using technology Professor Grant had developed, they approached without triggering Halaxian detection systems. When they arrived, over the Ural Mountains, Captain Ward led a team to the surface. They surrounded the unauthorized base before the aliens realized humans had found them. By authority of the United Earth Defense Force, you are ordered to cease activities and surrender, Captain Ward announced through a translator. The surprised Halaxians had no choice but to comply. The humans confiscated strange equipment designed to extract materials from deep within the Earth. Back at headquarters, Director Moore met with Director Wright and Admiral Morgan to discuss this serious violation. This wasn't just a minor incursion, Director Moore explained. According to the intelligence from Krell-Moore, Earth has been designated as a resource acquisition target in classified Galactic Coalition documents. What does that mean exactly? Admiral Morgan asked. It means they never intended to respect our sovereignty, she replied. The diplomatic mission was just a cover while they assessed our resources and defenses. Professor Grant joined the meeting, bringing analysis of the equipment seized from the Ural Mountains base. They were setting up a deep core mining operation, he explained. But there's more. We found biological sampling equipment as well, designed to collect human DNA. Dr. Patterson, who had continued studying Halaxian communications, provided another crucial piece of information. I've discovered why they're so interested in humans, she said. The Halaxians have a serious evolutionary limitation. They cannot adapt to new environments without extensive technological assistance. And we can, Commander Wright said, understanding dawning on his face. Exactly, Dr. Patterson confirmed. Our genetic adaptability is extraordinarily rare in the galaxy. They want to study it, possibly incorporate it into their own species. Director Moore shared what Krell-Moore had told her in secret. According to my source, the rule against taking inhabited worlds is largely a facade. Multiple species have been relocated from resource-rich planets in the past. The Coalition simply moves the native populations to reservation worlds and takes what they want. The room fell silent as the full truth sank in. This wasn't just about mining or research. The Halaxians intended to take Earth entirely. What about these other relocated species? Asked Admiral Morgan. Can we contact them? Krell-Moore is arranging communication with a representative, Director Moore replied. Someone who can tell us more about Halaxian tactics. Meanwhile, Earth's defense forces mobilized quietly. Captain Ward's Defender was joined by 2 more ships of the same design. Underground bases expanded their production of weapons and defense systems. Civilian populations were gradually prepared for possible conflict, though full details remained, classified to prevent panic. The next diplomatic meeting with Ambassador Zornak was tense. Director Moore confronted him about the unauthorized base. A regrettable misunderstanding, the ambassador claimed smoothly. Simply scientists who failed to complete proper notification procedures. Scientists with mining equipment and genetic sampling devices? Director Moore asked coolly. The ambassador's large black eyes narrowed slightly. The Galactic Coalition has protocols for assessing all new worlds. Standard procedure, nothing more. We were not informed of these standard procedures when we agreed to diplomatic relations, Director Moore replied. That same day, a Halaxian scout ship attempted to extract ocean samples containing unique microorganisms without permission. Earth's new defense system detected them immediately. When ordered to stop, they tried to flee but were quickly captured by one of the new human vessels. In an emergency meeting of Earth's leaders, Admiral Morgan summarized the situation. They're accelerating their activities and becoming less concerned about hiding their true intentions, he said. They likely believe we're still too primitive to pose any real threat. Commander Wright nodded, which gives us an advantage. They don't know how much of their technology we've adapted or how prepared we actually are. Director Moore shared the latest intelligence. According to Krell-Moore, the Halaxians will soon move to the next phase, presenting an ultimatum disguised as a proposal. They'll demand we allow permanent settlements or face consequences. And when we refuse, asked a world leader, then we'll see if our preparations have been enough, Admiral Morgan replied grimly. As the meeting concluded, Earth's detection systems reported a new development. A large fleet of Halaxian ships had entered the solar system. The confrontation was coming sooner than expected. The only rule: aliens must never break. Earth is not yours to take. Part 4. Lines in the Sand Kernel. Daniel Murphy and his Special Tactics team moved silently through the darkness. Their mission: capture a Halaxian infiltration unit attempting to access military databases in North America. 6 targets moving east, whispered his second-in-command through the secure comm system. They're using some kind of cloaking technology. Colonel Murphy adjusted his special goggles, another creation from Professor Grant's team. I can see them. Wait for my signal. The team surrounded the aliens and struck with perfect coordination. Within minutes, all 6 Halaxians were captured, along with their advanced equipment. Take them to the secure facility, Colonel Murphy ordered, and make sure their communication devices are completely disabled. Across the globe, similar operations took place as Earth's forces moved against unauthorized Halaxian activities. The pretense of peaceful relations was crumbling rapidly. In her laboratory, Dr. Nicole Mitchell studied biological samples from the captured Halaxians. As a specialist in biological weapons, she had been tasked with finding potential weaknesses. Their cellular structure is fascinating, she told Secretary Jack Davidson, who had come for an update. As defense coordinator, he needed to understand their enemies' vulnerabilities. Have you found anything useful? Secretary Davidson asked. Doctor. Mitchell nodded. Their immune systems are highly specialized but inflexible. They've engineered themselves for efficiency, but lost adaptability in the process. And humans? The opposite. Our immune systems are remarkably adaptable. We can recover from countless diseases and function in widely varying environments. She pointed to her computer screen. That's why they want our genetic material. They've reached an evolutionary dead end and know it. Secretary Davidson's phone buzzed with an urgent message. The main Halaxian fleet has taken position around Earth. They're demanding an emergency meeting with all world leaders. At United Nations headquarters, Ambassador Zornak stood before representatives from every nation. His normally smooth diplomatic manner had been replaced by a colder, more direct approach. The Galactic Coalition has determined that Earth would benefit from more direct integration, he announced. We propose establishing permanent Halaxian settlements on your planet to facilitate technology transfer and cultural exchange. Director Moore, representing Earth in the negotiations, replied carefully. And if we decline this proposal? Then regulatory action would become necessary, the ambassador stated. For your own protection and development, of course. I see, Director Moore said calmly. We will need time to consider this proposal. You have 48 Earth hours to provide your answer, Ambassador Zornak said. As the meeting ended, HFY Story staff member approached Director Moore with an urgent message. Ma'am, a ship has arrived requesting permission to land. The occupant claims to be a refugee named Ixir. Says they have critical information about the Halaxians. Director Moore, Commander Wright, and Admiral Morgan met the visitor in a secure location. Ixir was clearly not Halaxian. Their skin was green-tinted and rough, with 4 arms and large, expressive eyes. I am from the world you would pronounce as Veltar, Ixir explained through a translator. My people were among the first to encounter the Halaxian expansion 200 years ago. What happened to your world? Admiral Morgan asked. Ixir's eyes darkened with emotion. They came as friends just as they did here. They offered technology, knowledge, medical advancements. Then came the settlements, followed by resource claims. When my people protested, they were labeled as dangerous extremists. And then? Commander, Wright prompted. Relocation. Millions of my people were moved to a small moon system. Our homeworld was stripped of resources. Those who resisted were eliminated. Director Moore leaned forward. Why have you come to warn us? Because Earth's resistance has inspired others. Many species in the coalition have suffered similar fates. If you can stand against them, it could change everything. Ixir shared detailed information about Halaxian military tactics and technologies. This intelligence proved invaluable as Earth prepared its response. While world leaders debated their answer to the Halaxian ultimatum, military forces around the planet moved to high alert. The 3 defense vessels took strategic positions in orbit, still hidden from Halaxian sensors. Colonel Murphy's team analyzed the equipment taken from the captured infiltration unit. They were after our defense plans, he reported to Secretary Davidson. Specifically, they wanted information about Homestead Shield. Do they know about it? The secretary asked. I don't think so. Their equipment suggests they've detected energy. Signatures they can't explain. They know we're hiding something, but not what it is. The deadline for Earth's response approached. In orbit, Trelvox, the Halaxian military leader, prepared his forces. His warships surrounded the planet, weapon systems ready. The humans will surrender when faced with our superior technology, he told his commanders. They are primitive and divided. If they resist, we will demonstrate our power by disabling a few of their major cities' power grids. On Earth, the final preparations were made. The Homestead Shield system was fully operational but remained inactive to maintain the element of surprise. Defense forces took positions around the globe, ready to respond to any attack. Secretary Davidson presented Earth's unified response to the United Nations General Assembly. After brief discussion, it was approved unanimously. At exactly the deadline, Director Moore met with Ambassador Zornak. The people of Earth appreciate the Galactic Coalition's interest in our world, she began formally. However, we must decline your proposal for permanent settlements. The ambassador's expression hardened. I strongly advise you to reconsider. The Coalition's regulatory actions can be quite persuasive. Earth is not available for negotiation, settlement, or resource extraction, Director Moore stated firmly. This is our final position. Very well, the ambassador replied coldly. You leave us no choice but to implement standard integration protocols. As Ambassador Zornak left the meeting, Halaxian warships began positioning themselves above major cities around the world. Trelvox sent a message to all Earth's communications systems. People of Earth, your leaders have unwisely rejected our generous offer. To demonstrate the futility of resistance, we will now disable your power generation capabilities in selected regions. After you have experienced 3 days without power, we will return to negotiations. Secretary Davidson received the signal he had been waiting for. They've made their move, he told the assembled world leaders. It's time to show them ours. Admiral Morgan gave the command. Activate Homestead Shield. Across the planet, hidden installations powered up. A network of energy fields began to form, joining together into a protective barrier around the entire Earth. The technology, reverse-engineered and improved upon by Professor Grant's team, created a shield that the Halaxians had never encountered before. At the same time, Earth's 3 defense vessels broke their cover, taking strategic positions around the planet. On the Halaxian command ship, Trelvox stared in disbelief at his tactical displays. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology is primitive. They can't have defensive capabilities this advanced. The aliens fired their weapons at Earth's major power stations, but the energy blasts dissipated harmlessly against the shield. Captain Ward's voice transmitted to all Halaxian ships. This is Captain Lisa Ward of Earth Defense Forces. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shield. We recommend you withdraw from Earth orbit immediately. Trelvox's response was to order a full attack. The real battle for Earth had begun. The only rule: aliens must never break. Earth is not yours to take. Part 5. Not yours to take. The space around Earth filled with light as Halaxian weapons fired against the Homestead Shield. For 3 days, the aliens attacked without pause. The shield held, but Earth's defense teams worked constantly to maintain it. Shield power at 70% and holding, reported the technician at Earth Defense Headquarters. Commander Wright studied the tactical displays. The Halaxians had called for reinforcements, and their fleet now numbered over 100 ships. They're still testing our defenses, he told Admiral Morgan. Looking for weak points. How long can the shield hold? The Admiral asked. Professor, Grant says indefinitely, as long as the power stations remain operational. Commander Wright replied, but we can't stay in a defensive position forever. President Laura Bennett entered the command center. As the newly elected United Earth president, she had the final say in all defense matters. It's time to show them we're not just capable of defending, she announced. Prepare our ships for offensive operations. Grand Admiral Zex Kor arrived with the main Halaxian armada. His massive flagship took position at the center of the alien fleet. As supreme commander of all Halaxian forces, his presence showed how seriously they now took the Earth threat. These humans are more resourceful than expected, he told his War Council. But they cannot withstand our full might. Prepare all weapons for a coordinated assault on their shield. On the Defender, Captain Ward received new orders. Move to position Alpha and prepare to engage on my mark, came Admiral Morgan's voice over the secure channel. Acknowledged, Captain Ward replied. Weapons ready, all systems operational. At Defense Headquarters, Dr. Patterson approached Commander Wright with excitement. I've completed the Universal Translator, she said. We can now communicate directly with any species in the Coalition fleet. Excellent work, Commander Wright replied. This could be exactly what we need. President Bennett addressed the emergency session of world leaders. The Halaxians believe we will surrender when faced with their full armada, she said. They are about to learn how humans respond to threats. At her signal, Commander Wright activated Homestead Shield's secondary function. Earth's protective barrier suddenly expanded outward, pushing back the closest Halaxian ships and disrupting their formation. At the same moment, Earth's 3 defense vessels broke orbit and attacked the confused alien fleet. Though outnumbered, the human ships used the Halaxians' own technology against them, enhanced by human innovation. Grand Admiral Zex Kor watched in disbelief as his perfectly arranged attack formation fell into chaos. Impossible. Their shield is not only defensive. On his tactical display, he saw 3 small Earth vessels causing significant damage to his fleet. Their weapons were more advanced than any primitive species should possess. Target those ships. With all available weapons, he ordered. The space battle intensified. Captain Ward's Defender took heavy damage but continued fighting. The other 2 Earth vessels executed complex maneuvers that confused Halaxian targeting systems. They adapt too quickly, reported a Halaxian weapons officer. They're changing tactics faster than our computers can analyze. On Earth, Colonel Murphy led ground forces against a Halaxian landing party that had somehow penetrated the shield. The aliens had attempted to disable a major shield generator but found themselves surrounded by prepared human defenders. Surrender now, Colonel, Murphy announced through a translator. You're outnumbered and cut off from your fleet. The Halaxian commander looked shocked at the humans' preparedness. They had not expected such coordination or effectiveness from Earth's forces. In orbit, the battle reached a critical point. Captain Ward's ship suffered severe damage but managed to maneuver close to the Halaxian flagship. All power to forward weapons, she ordered. Target their command center. The Defender fired its main weapon, a modified version of Halaxian technology that Professor Grant had improved upon. The energy beam cut through the flagship's shields and disabled its main systems. Grand Admiral Zex Kor's vessel drifted powerless as emergency systems came online. How is this possible, he demanded. They were primitive just months ago. Dr. Patterson used the new Universal Translator to send a message to all ships in the Halaxian fleet. But she didn't just transmit to the Halaxians, she sent the message to every alien species serving on those ships. Attention all vessels. We have disabled your flagship. We have no desire for further conflict, but we will defend our world. We know that many of you serve the Coalition against your will. Your homeworlds were taken just as they planned to take ours. Today, we offer you a choice. Throughout the Coalition fleet, members of subjugated species heard the message in their native languages. Many had secretly resented Halaxian rule for generations. On multiple ships, crews turned against their Halaxian commanders. The unified attack on Earth faltered as ships stopped firing or turned away. President Bennett addressed Grand Admiral Zexkor directly. Your attack has failed. Your flagship is disabled. Many of your ships are no longer under your control. The Grand Admiral's response was cold. This is merely a temporary setback. The Coalition has resources beyond your imagination. We will return with a fleet 10 times this size. Perhaps, President Bennett replied. But by then, our technology will have advanced even further, and your subjugated allies are already breaking free. This is the beginning of the end for your empire of conquest. Using information from Ixir and other Coalition defectors, Earth forces had identified key weaknesses in Halaxian systems. These weaknesses allowed them to disable, rather than destroy, most enemy ships. Commander Wright coordinated the complex battle strategy from Defense Headquarters. His screens showed Coalition ships either retreating or surrendering across the solar system. They never expected us to fight back so effectively, he told Admiral Morgan. They thought we would be an easy conquest like the others. They didn't understand humanity, the Admiral replied. We don't surrender our home. As the battle concluded, President Bennett prepared to address the people of Earth and the defeated Halaxian leaders. The speech would be broadcast to every corner of the planet and to all alien vessels in the solar system. People of Earth and visitors to our solar system, she began. Today marks a turning point not just for humanity, but for all intelligent species who value freedom and self-determination. She continued with strength and clarity. We establish today a new rule that must never be broken. Earth is not yours to take. No world inhabited by intelligent life is yours to take. All species have the innate right to their homeworlds and to determine their own destiny. The disabled Halaxian flagship received the transmission. Grand Admiral Zexkor and his commanders watched in silence. You came to our world believing we would submit to superior technology and force, President Bennett continued. You have learned that humanity does not bow to threats. We adapt. We innovate. We stand together against those who would take what is not theirs to take. Throughout the galaxy, the news spread quickly. On worlds long dominated by the Coalition, resistance movements gained new hope. If Earth could stand against the Halaxians, perhaps they could too. Today we offer peace, but on our terms, President Bennett concluded. A new interstellar accord based on mutual respect, not exploitation. Those who abide by this principle will find in humanity a friend and ally. Those who do not will find in us an unrelenting adversary. As Earth's defense ships escorted the defeated Halaxian fleet to the edge of the solar system, Captain Ward stood on her bridge watching the stars. Do you think they'll come back? Her first officer asked. Perhaps, she replied, but next time we'll be even better prepared, and we won't be fighting alone. Humanity had taken its first steps as a recognized galactic power. The rule had been established, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter over a free Earth.